Hi, I'm Dr. Kendall Samuelson. I'm an associate professor with West Texas A&M University, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about interpreting feed analysis reports.
In the summer of 2024, the Maine New Farmers Project invited Dr. Kendall Samuelson, a professor at West Texas A&M, to Maine to speak with livestock producers about feed sampling, feed analysis, and ration formulation. We hope you enjoy this talk.
So I want to talk a little bit about analysis interpretation and how you decide what analyses you're going to do when you send a sample off and what those reports look like when they come back. So this will really be dependent on the lab that you choose to send your samples to. There are several commercial labs available to do that. Some of them are local, some of them are more nationally based. But when you prepare to send that sample off, typically most labs would have either a sample bag that they would provide you with, or you can put it in your own bag, something like a Ziploc, and then send a sample form along with that sample. On that sample form, there's going to be a number of different analysis options that you can select. You can select an analysis package, which would include multiple different types of analyses in it, or you can kind of pick and choose what analysis you might like to have. So for example, if you only care about crude protein of a hay or something like that, you don't really need to select an analysis like a ration test, which is going to have a number of other things in it and probably cost you significantly more. So once you decide what you want to analyze, then you would prepare your sample as we've kind of instructed in some other videos and send it off for analysis. It's going to take a little bit of time to get that back, but then you will get a series of results back, typically via email, from the lab. And depending on the lab that you use, that sample report is going to look a little bit different. So typically in most sample reports, and we'll walk you through a couple of the different examples and put some photos up of some of the examples, but typically at the top of those reports is going to be just your customer information. So what is your farm? What is your address? What is the lab? And then you'll find kind of some of your sample ID information. So you want to be careful about what you put on that bag when you send it off, because that's exactly what they're going to send back to you in your report. They're going to put typically the date that they received the sample. If you have a particular date range that you want to look at, if you're taking multiple samples over time, you need to specify all of that on the bag, because all of that will come back in your sample reports. Most sample reports, but not all, will present nutrients on both a dry matter and an as-fed basis. And so this can be really important depending on how you want to look at the sample. You'll remember an as-fed basis is exactly the feed how it comes. So that would be including any water, which is going to influence the nutrient content some, because the more water that you add into a feed, kind of the more diluted that nutrient content is going to look. On the other hand, the dry matter analysis is really helpful because it allows you to compare feeds on an equal plane. It kind of takes different moisture contents out of the equation and just tells you kind of a no moisture or a dry matter value of any nutrients that you may be looking at. So depending on how you want to evaluate those feeds, both of those could be important, but a lot of times on the nutrition side, we tend to look at that dry matter value so we can really compare, and we'll also use that quite a bit in the formulation, if that is something that you want to do with combining multiple feedstuffs together. And so typically there will be a moisture or a water content, which will basically be the number that they use to convert all of the nutrients to a dry matter basis from as fed. And then whatever nutrient analysis that you decided to do will be listed below. So for example, if you looked at a crude protein, that might be there. Some labs will also do calculations that they have from some of the analyses that you've decided to run. So maybe it's an energy calculation if you want to find that animal's requirement for just maintaining its body weight. You can use the energy value that the lab comes up with to do that. Sometimes there's more advanced analyses. If you're looking at something like silage, maybe you want to look at different profiles of fatty acids or pH. That is a much more extensive analysis. A lot of times what we would use is just kind of the basic nutrient analysis to kind of figure out what we're looking with. And so that'll look a little bit different depending on the lab, again, that you choose to go with and use to analyze your feed samples. Ultimately, these can be really important values to help you determine a number of decisions on your farm about how you want to use your feeds.
This video was brought to you by the Maine New Farmers Project and the University of Maine Cooperative Extension Grazing Behavior Lab. We would like to extend a special thanks to Dr. Kendall Samuelson of West Texas A&M University for joining us for today's production. If you would like to learn more about Dr. Samuelson, please tune in to the upcoming 26th episode of the Maine Farmcast on October 30th. Once again, we thank you for joining us.
Oh, I didn't do an introduction for video 2. Do I need to do that? Probably. You can like splice it together. Hi, I'm Dr. Kendall Samuelson. I'm an associate professor with West Texas A&M University. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about interpreting feed analysis reports.